Jay from the Kubz, guys. Welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Wright, Justice for All. We met some guy named Acro. We learned some new things about what went on at the circus. I don't know why his last name was Dingling, but we're about to knock this out the park right now. If you guys cool with that, you down with that? Everybody get ready and buckle up, because here we go! December 30, 9:41 a.m., District Court, Defendant Lobby number 5. Good morning, Max. Oh, yeah. Good morning, sweeties. You don't seem like your usual sparkling self today. I'm always like this before I go in front of an audience. I'm working up to it. Tee-hee. Don't get nervous, Maxie. Here, have a glass of milk. Ugh, milk. Regina. How fabulous! My sweetie pie princess! You came to watch my performance today and give me some milk that gets watery before it gets creamy? Of course I did. Mo told me I should come and watch this. Mo said that? So, what kind of performance will you put on today? Let me guess, you'll fly at the end? It's not that kind of show, isn't that right, my sweeties? Huh? I think my sweetie pie princess doesn't... Yeah, she doesn't seem to realize what's going on, or even where she is. Well, Max, it looks like it's time to raise the curtain. I think she's high on glue or something. She never knows anywhere where she is. I'll see you later. Today I'm just a member of the audience. She probably went to go sniff paint or something. Fabulous! Enjoy yourself out there! Good luck, Max. You're the best. Regina's different, don't you think, Nick? Top of the morning to you! Everybody, let's get ready to get stuck in legal limbo. How low can you go? Mo. Top of the morning to you, Governor. Top of the morning. That's the ticket. Attacking the day starts with energy in the morning. The early bird gets the worm, but then again, worms lack higher brain function. Here, Max, I brought you a present. Have some milk. Whose titty milk is that? Back-to-back cartons of milk? Whose nipples did you suck that out of, my guy? Oh my, thanks. So how are you today, right? Well, I've got the feeling that today I'm gonna face off against the real culprit. You mean Acro? Huh? You think he did it? Be careful. He's used to putting his life on the line, literally. He's got guts to spare. If all I've got to worry about is how thin the tightrope is, I'm used to it already. It just means that I won't be able to press him like handing other witnesses. What are you gonna do then, Nick? I guess today we'll just have to do without our usual psychological warfare. Today, we rely on evidence. It's the only way we'll get past Acro into the truth. You're right, but it's gonna be tough. Anyways, I want you to make sure that Regina sees it all today. It's important. Then she'll finally have to deal with the reality of what happened to her father. You want us to make sure Regina watches? You sick freak. Yes, that's why I brought her here to court today. What's that supposed to mean? She needs to know that when people die, they don't just become stars. I may be an old-fashioned clown, but I don't believe in people becoming stars. December 30, 10 a.m. District Court, courtroom number 2. Let's get it, boys and girls. Gotta whoop this dude's eyes. Court is now in session for the trial of Maximilian Galactica. The prosecution is ready, Your Honor. The defense is ready, Your Honor. Very well. Miss Von Karma, you may proceed with your case. The prosecution would like to revise its previous theory of events. What's the meaning of this? We have discovered a new witness, or shall I say a new eyewitness. Why is she tightening up the whip? One that saw Maximilian Galactica fly off from the scene of the crime. No, guys, he didn't fly. People can't fly. Calm down. Wow, order already? I had a feeling something like this would come up. Due to this revision, we are now prepared to explain how the defendant flew that night. An explanation the prosecution will present if the need so arises. In fact, detectives stayed up all night creating a mock-up of the scene on my orders. Poor Gumshoe. Very well. Please call your witness to the stand. Time to get to work. Or shall I say, time to walk the courtroom's tightrope. Sure, bud. Dude, he brought the birds too? No animals allowed, you sick dingling freak. Name and occupation. Ken Dingling, but everyone calls me Acro. I'm employed as an acrobat at the Very Big Circus. Where were you the night of the crime? I was in my room that night. If you look at the map, you will see the witness's room is near the crime scene. My room is on the 3rd floor. The crime scene is below my window. The night of the crime, the witness saw something quite shocking. Would you tell us what you witnessed? Okay. Oh, witness testimony. What I witnessed. Right eye, left eye, mouth shut, locked in though. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Then, a few moments later, I saw someone flying right by my window. It was Max Galactica. I only saw him from behind, but that's who it looked like. You know what I'm thinking, guys? What if somebody raised the statue of Maximilian's bust up on the window? To be honest, when I saw that, I thought I was dreaming. Maybe that's what he saw. This witness's testimony matches up exactly with that of the clown. If that's the case, there is very little the prosecution need add. All that's left is to explain how the defendant disappeared into the sky that night. Hold it! Yeah, hold it! Before we get that far, I'd like to cross-examine the witness. A foolish choice by a foolish fool who wishes to feel the foolish sadness of a sad fool. A man must know the proper thing for things, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Just like your old friend, Mr. Miles. Mr. Wright, do you have a problem with the witness's testimony? In the words of Miss Von Karma, may I quote yesterday's proceedings? There's no way that actually happened. Very well, you may proceed with your cross-examination. All right, let's go, guys. Whew, cross-examination, the first one. You're already locked in, mouth still shut, let's go. It was just after 10 p.m. and I was resting in my bed. Around that time, I heard a large thump noise from outside the window. Hold it! Your room is on the 3rd floor, right? Yes. And you said that you were resting in bed. That is correct. But you were still able to hear a sound from outside? I was indeed. Pressing Acro doesn't seem to get results. But maybe something was contradictory in what he said just now. There's nothing wrong, there is a contradiction. I don't know, let's see here. Let's see the actual, autopsy. Time of death, 10:15 p.m. Okay. Well, he said it was 10 o'clock, right? Let's see, there's a contradiction. There is a huge contradiction with the testimony that was just given. What? Don't object that! If there's a contradiction, then prove it with evidence. She's right. Let's see some evidence. Do you have any evidence to support your claim of a contradiction? Yeah. It was 10:15 p.m. and he said it was 10 o'clock. So take that! What in the world is this? No! You just don't get it, do you, Mr. Phoenix Wright? What don't I get? You're not going to be able to get through this one with your usual bluff routine. Your client looks to be ready to take off once again. Straight towards a guilty verdict. You were bluffing? I will not forgive any more mockeries made of this court. Whoops! Oh, come on! Damn it! Alright, you know what? I think I know what it is, though. It's not this one. You know what the evidence is? The evidence is that. This. What in the world is this? Ow! Oh my god, that wasn't it. I actually just want to examine the bust, but now I accidentally messed up. Okay, this is what I wanted to do, guys. This is really what I wanted to do. The hat was found at the scene of the crime. It's been said many times before, so there is a contradiction because Acro said that he saw a dude flying up with a hat on his head, but the hat was found in the snow next to the guy's body or whatever that is. Right here, look. Made to order hat that is a symbol of Max fabulousness, found at the crime scene. So wind it up and say, take that! You claim to have seen the exact same thing Mo saw that night. Do you stand by that? What do you mean? The silk hat. What about the silk hat? I saw it on Max's head as he flew by my window. Did you? Did you, Mr. Dingling? Well, you should have tried looking down out of your window that night. That would have been quite difficult considering the state that I'm in. Shut up! Just looking outside of the window was a tough enough challenge for me. Well, why didn't you wheel over there, okay? Instead of making up statements in your head. That's a shame, because you would have noticed the silk hat found on the scene. That's the ringmaster's hat, right? Afraid not. No matter how you look at it, this is Max's silk hat. Where are you going with this, Mr. Wright? You really don't know, Judge? You really don't know? Are you saying that Max has 2 silk hats? No, this is a handmade, one-of-a-kind model made for only Maximilian Galactica! Which means, Acro, that you've been fibbing on the stand! Yes, guys, fibbing on the stand. If you don't know what fibbing is, it means you're lying! Objection! Don't object that! As always, it looks like someone just had to open their mouth before thinking. Are you okay, Nick? Well, I opened my big mouth and now I have to back it up. Yeah, back that thing up. How about it, Mr. Wright? What would cause this witness to commit perjury in this court today? He has a grudge against Max. Acro was dreaming. Acro is the real killer. Your Honor, on this occasion, the defense accuses Acro himself! On this occasion? Accuses Acro? What in the world are you accusing him of? Obviously, we accuse him of the murder of Mr. Russell Berry! Yes, guys, the murder. Mr. Wright, are you serious? Deadly serious, Your Honor. Ha ha ha. I think your trips to the circus have served you well. You seem to have learned how to try and grab at an audience's hearts and minds. Your Honor, don't allow yourself to be swayed by theatrics. Trying to wow the crowd with smoke and mirrors is the oldest bluff in the book. Really? If you don't believe me, just look at the witness. Come on! He's not really in a wheelchair. Those are fake birds. They're paid actors. Mr. Dingling, do you have any response to the defense's accusation? I don't really need to say a thing, do I? What do you mean? Everyone, take a good look at me. I can't even stand up on myself, let alone leave the lodging house. That's true. I understand that Mr. Wright is just trying to help his client. But to do this by accusing me of a murder, of all things. God damn that whip. So hot. See? Even a sliver of common sense makes it clear the accusation is ludicrous. Oh no. She's right. Way to pick on the disabled, you heartless, cruel man. Phoenix is a poopy head. See that, Mr. Phoenix Wright? If you're trying to drum up support from the peanut gallery, that's how you do it. I think that's enough of this little game. I've got a doctor's note to confirm that Acro is unable to stand under his own power. Maybe the defense is planning on making a claim to counter this as well? I can hear the defense now. Acro had an accomplice. What do you say about this, Mr. Wright? Did Acro have an accomplice? Of course he did, because Wheelie couldn't have done it himself! It's impossible for Acro to be the murderer in this case. If that's the case, then it's natural for someone to consider possible accomplices. You don't say. Not good. Not good. This isn't going to end well. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. What? You must not have heard that sound just now. Maybe it wasn't clear enough. The sound of you falling into your own trap can be hard to notice sometimes. Mr. Wright, it seems as if you won't be stopping at Acro, but will be making other accusations. If Acro did not have an accomplice, things are not looking good for you. I understand, Your Honor. Oop. Very well, let's continue. Who, perchance, would happen to be Acro's accomplice? This guy, right? Money? What about Bat? Is it Bat? Nah, it ain't Bat. It's not Bat. It's gotta be Money. Let's see. It's either Money, Leon. Actually, it's not Leon. He got shot. Oh, God. So it's either the monkey or it's his brother. Take that! You don't say! Uh-oh. This is suddenly looking very, very bad. Don't tell me you think you're going to get off easy. Okay, whoops. So, it wasn't the monkey. So maybe it was his brother. Maybe it was the brother. Or maybe, just maybe, nah, it wasn't her. Was it? Nah, was it him? Still in a coma though. Yeah, maybe? Nah, it can't be her, my bad. Oh God, don't give me a strike. Okay, you know what? I don't think that there's any person that we can choose if it's not the monkey and if it's not Regina. So we're gonna click, of course he did it. Now then, this must be when we get to hear the name of the mystery accomplice. Not this time, Bon Karma. What? You're not going to sucker me into this one. What are you blabbering about, Mr. Wright? There was no accomplice. Acro planned and committed this murder all by himself! What are you getting at? Way to keep them on their toes, Nick. Now I'm gonna have to prove how it all fits together. I have to show how Acro murdered Russell Berry. Can you do it, Nick? Can you really do that? I know what I can't do. I can't stop now. If I stop attacking, I'm doomed. Alright, then let's do it. Mr. Phoenix Wright, if this witness is the killer, then his eyewitness account is all lies, right? Mr. Wright, I'd like you to clear something up for me. When the crime was committed, exactly where was Mr. Dingling? He was in his house. He was obviously here the entire time. That's Acro's room? Pretty simple, eh? Acro wasn't able to leave the lodging house by himself. In that case, there can be only one correct answer. Acro didn't leave his room to kill the ringmaster. What? Are you nuts? What say you, Mr. Dingling? It's an interesting theory. That's it? Considering that what you proposed is impossible, yes, that's it. How is it impossible? How did the ringmaster die again? Mr. Wright. Yes, Your Honor? As the witness has stated, your assertion is impossible. As he is in a wheelchair, there is no way he could go to the scene or be the killer. You've got a point. It seems you've forgotten once again, Mr. Phoenix Wright. The defendant was clearly spotted at the scene of the crime. That's true. Mose said that he saw Max, didn't he? I got it. I know what he did. He tied the bust to a rope and then made it look like he was there. I'm talking about Acro. He tied the bust, the Max G bust, with a rope. And then, since he's an acrobat, I guess he pulled it up, after the crime was done so he could have some witnesses or something like that. Like, he had those imaginary strings. Something like that, right? But Maya, it's still impossible for humans to fly. Do you mind if I ask you a question, Mr. Phoenix Wright? What is it? I understand some of your logic. However, how do you think that I killed him? If I can't leave my room, I obviously couldn't wear Max's costume. How did he do it? That's the next course of this legal buffet. Be careful, Nick. If you mess up here... She's right. I can't mess up here. I've got to give this one serious thought. I'm sure that Acro killed the ringmaster. And he did it while he was in his room. No doubt about it. Time to enlighten us as to how Mr. Dingling committed the crime, Mr. Wright. Can't present evidence now? I don't think that we have evidence now, right? I think we will finally be graced with an explanation. Don't push it, Von Karma. What? You aren't gonna suck me in this time. Whoa, who talking about sucking, huh? Who talking about sucking? I'm smart enough to know when I don't have the cards to play in my hand sucks right now. What do you mean, Mr. Wright? He means that everything he said up until now has all been nonsense. It's true, right? If you can't establish proof of your murder theory, then it's nonsense. He's trying to fool us by playing some misdirection game. Okay, so I guess I do have the evidence? Maybe it's the box? Maybe it's the box. Nah, but then he would have died from, let's see, blunt force trauma to the back of the head. Did he drop the box? Or guys, did he drop the bust? This bust right here. This thing nice and busty, probably weighs a lot too. Hit one time in the back of the head, but boom, dead guy. Right? What's that? A picture? It is indeed. The problem is with the item that's shown in the picture. The bust? It's quite a large bust, and because it is life-sized, it is also very, very heavy. Heavy? Heavy enough to guarantee a certain death. Especially if it was dropped from a third-story window. Ah! Yeah, you like that? You like that, Mr. Dingling? How does that make your Dingling feel? See? This is how Acro was able to kill the ringmaster. With the force of gravity and Maximilian Galactica's ample bust. Yes, guys, his bust. Nice and busty! So you're saying the bust fell onto the ringmaster? A rather simple crime. Even if you were stuck in a wheelchair, it would be incredibly easy to commit.
Objection!
Don't object, Dad. That's facts. How could you possibly wheel a wheelchair with something so heavy? It's impossible.
Objection!
Well, Acro is an acrobat. He should have more than enough upper body strength to carry something like the bust. Mr. Dingling, how do you respond to these charges? Well, Acro's at a loss for words. He should be. He knows that I'm getting close to the truth. Well, Acro, you can't run away from— Ow! I'd watch what I say if I were you, Mr. Phoenix Wright. What? Your Honor, the physical health of the witness is material to this case. I demand that we get proper testimony from the witness himself. Testimony, you say? Bon Karma. She's just using this testimony as a rouse to stall for time.
Objection!
There was absolutely no need for such testimony.
Objection!
Don't object that objection. The defense has its own version of the murder. The prosecution has the right to respond. The defense's objection is overruled. Why can't he see things my way once in a while? Mr. Dingling, I'm sorry, but we need you to testify about your physical condition. If you have any doubts about your ability to testify, we can request expert testimony. The witness will have no problems. However, let's all be respectful towards him. Thank you. That woman will sink to any low to win a case. Again? What are we gonna do? Acro's physical state? Who cares? We know he's in a wheelchair. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Thus, it would be unrealistic for me to drop the bust on him, don't you think? I have no doubts in regards to this witness's testimony. It was impossible for him to lift the bust and stick himself out far enough to look. Not to mention that he could have not known the location of the ringmaster's head. A single false step would have led to even more severe injuries. That's what I was thinking. What is your opinion on the matter, Mr. Wright? I'd still like to proceed with my cross-examination. He's simply stalling. It's shameful, really. I can't let her get to me. I've got to focus. You know what? Where's Maya in all this? She's still here? Okay, anyway, Acro's physical state. I suppose I could have lifted something the size of that bust. I have a strong upper body from working as an acrobat, and only my legs were injured. However, lifting the bust and looking out the window would have been impossible. But why? But why? And why is that? Because if I were to do that, I'd end up falling out the window myself. I still haven't gotten that much feeling back in my legs yet. So you couldn't have thrown that bust out the window. There's no way I could have exerted that kind of force on my lower body. How long do you think your recovery will take? You have to remember that my nerves were severely damaged. I'm currently undergoing some extremely intensive rehabilitation, but it's still going to take a while before I'm back to 100%. Let me remind you of another very important point. If the witness was carrying the bust, he would not be able to see out below the window. That makes it impossible for me to have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Why do you say it would be impossible? Allow me to explain. You accept that if I was carrying the bust, I couldn't see out below the window? Thus, there is no way that I would have known the location of the ringmaster's head. Well, I suppose you've got a point. Hey, Nick? Huh. What if you turn things around? Maybe if you think of it sort of like this. If he knew the location of the ringmaster's head, then he could drop the bust. That does make sense. If only I could prove somehow that Acro knew the location of the ringmaster's head without looking down. Okay. Huh. I think I've already explained things sufficiently. Okay, so this is what it is. Let's see. Acro is strong enough to lift up the bust. The main problem is how he could have aimed for the ringmaster's head. Okay. That's the ticket, Nick. Show them what you've got. I have to be careful. I have to find something that fits perfectly with the case. I don't remember us finding any sort of tool. But maybe we overlooked something. Alright, you know what else I was thinking? I think that he dropped the box first, knew that the guy was gonna go in front of it, and then dropped the bust outside the window. That was it. The music stopped. Hallelujah. Acro, you didn't really need to lean out of the window, did you? What are you driving at, Mr. Wright? You already knew ahead of time where the ringmaster's head was gonna be. Quite precisely, I may add. Your silly hinting at things is pointless, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Enough stalling. How about you show us some evidence? But I did such a good job hinting. Yes. Hurry up and explain things, Mr. Wright. Maybe you should take a look at this. The key point here is the wooden box. The same wooden box that the victim was found hunched over? The same. The question is, who placed the wooden box here? Who? When Ben and company saw the ringmaster, they didn't see him holding the box. Which means that this wooden box was already placed at the scene of the crime. I have to admit that your theory makes a lot of sense. The moment that the bus came falling down was exactly the same moment that the ringmaster lifted up this wooden box. Which means that the answer to all these questions is now crystal clear. You mean, if the bus were to fall upon the point marked out by the wooden box, there would be no way that it could miss the head of the victim! No! This is unbelievable! Finally, some of these loose ends are starting to tie themselves up. Now I just gotta keep going, and there's only one way to go from here, forward. So the next question I have is, who placed that wooden box at the scene? It was Mr. Dingling, of course. He connected it to a rope, and then all he had to do was lower it down. Ow! Allow me to whip some sense into you. Ah, Mr. Phoenix Wright! Ow! The ringmaster's head could have been anywhere when he lifted the box. That's why the box was so specially made! Specially made? Indeed. It had the most peculiar feature. The size of the box, the weight of the box, the contents of the box. What was in the box? Hold on. The victim was hunched over this 20-pound box in both small but strong lock? I don't know. I don't know what was in the box. Well, we're just gonna put the contents of the box. Do you recall what was inside the wooden box? There was only a small bottle of pepper, wasn't there? Get on with it. Oh, he's allergic to it? Well, what's the matter? Cat got your tongue? I don't see any relationship between the location of his head and the box's contents. I think I might have outthought myself. Okay, you know what? I think it's the weight of the box. The weight of the box! Okay, weight of the box. The box has a remarkable weight. Weight? According to the court record, it weighs 20 pounds. Just to lift up this wooden box would have required... Oh, I see. One would have to squat down, then lift it up with their body, wouldn't you say? That's exactly what I was trying to point out. The box is also very large. The box also has carrying handles on either side, doesn't it? That is correct. To lift up the box, you'd have to squat down. Which means that no matter who you are, your head will be in approximately the same place. Fool! This dude's so calm and chill. What in the world? Does he even bother to listen to me anymore? I've heard what you've had to say. I must admit, I'm shocked at your imaginative skills. Did you do it? Did you place this wooden box in the plaza? Mr. Wright may have a vivid imagination, but I could never have done what he's proposing. What? Mr. Wright, do you recall the original location of Max's bust? I remember, I forget. I remember? Of course I remember. It was on top of the table in the cafeteria. Then what happened to it? I'd like you to remember one important fact, Mr. Wright. I could not possibly leave the lodging house by myself. Ah, that means... You understand what I mean, don't you? I may very well have been able to drop the bus from my room. However, how would I have gotten the bus from the cafeteria to my room? Money the monkey, right? He's lifted up a box similar before, or he's lifted the bus before. You see, Mr. Wright? Explain that. Don't forget, You said there was no accomplice. Ugh. Tell us exactly how the witness would have carried the bus from the cafeteria. Yep, we definitely have a problem here. But this is no place to get perplexed. I've got to get my wits about me and prove how things happen once and for all. Alright, Mr. Wright, let's hear your explanation. How did the witness get the bus from the cafeteria back to his room? It is Money the monkey, of course. Take that! A monkey? Everyone knows Money. He loves shiny objects of any size. Oh, like when he stole the ventriloquist ring. So, are you saying the witness had a monkey steal the bust? Of course he didn't order the monkey to steal it. The monkey stole it on his own, and then brought it back home. Home? Money lives in Acro's room. Acro's room? Objection! But the bus was bronze, wasn't it? Bronze isn't all that shiny. Objection! Maybe you should put the whip down sometimes and read the court record. My, those are some very nice cards he's holding. Yes, and they are made of platinum, which is very shiny. Ah! Acro. Money is a strong monkey, right? It'd be easy for him to bring the bus back to your room. If he wasn't able to handle that himself, I'd be on the market for my new roommate. Yeah, he's so funny. Order! I said order! Miss Von Karma, where's the bust in question at this moment? I don't know. We're searching for it as we speak. This is a rather strange turn of events. But let's say that the monkey had not stolen the bust. What would have happened then? Well, in that event, something else would have been used as the murder weapon. Wait. Then you mean this bus was the murder weapon, purely by accident? It's possible. Maybe Acro saw Money's mountain of stolen goods and thought to use one of them. Anyways, I think we've more than proven one critical fact. Namely, that it was entirely possible that Acro was the murderer. Moron! Guys, I'm not a moron. Calm with me. Mr. Wright's argument was so circular, I'm still a bit dizzy. However, his argument does hold water. There's no denying that. Ow! Don't seem so flamboozled, especially by this fraud of an attorney. Fraud? You've forgotten the absolute most important thing, Mr. Phoenix Wright. And what is that? You should know. You forgot that your fraud of a magical client was spotted at the scene of the crime. There was no reason to doubt the clown's testimony. That's true. How do you respond to that, Mr. Wright? Nick, don't let her beat you now. I won't. This is my chance to turn this trial around. When the murder occurred, there was two people at the scene of the crime. One was the victim, Russell Berry, and the other was the murderer himself. Answer this and only this, Mr. Phoenix Wright. Who was the murderer the clown saw? Okay, guys, so I got the answer wrong. I'm not even gonna tell you guys what I picked because it was so freaking stupid. I only have one chance left, so I had to look it up. It's the statue. It's the freaking statue. And I also look up the next one. So, I'm sorry, guys. Ow! I asked who was the other person Mo saw on the scene. That evidence has nothing to do with the question. Objection! Au contraire, mon frère. It does indeed have something to do with the question. Mo said that he saw Max's silhouette. But he didn't actually see the man himself. It wasn't a human being he saw. How is that possible? It's simple, really. What Mo actually saw that night was Max's bust. Objection! What are you talking about? Have you tried using your brain at all in this case? The silhouette he saw was wearing a cloak. Objection! There's no reason why you couldn't attach a cloak to the bust. It would be easy to hang one of the cards in the bust's hands. Idiots! Who in their right mind would put a cloak on a bust? It doesn't matter who put it on the bust. Just wait a minute now, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? That question is the utmost importance to this case, don't you agree? Don't! He caught me. So let's have it, Mr. Wright. Who put the cloak on the bust? It was Russell Berry, because like I just said, guys, I look up the next two answers because I can't fail. I can't fail now! I can't. I got one more chance. Fool! Him? You're saying it was the victim himself, Russell Berry? That's what I'm saying. The victim himself placed the cloak on the bust? Placed the cloak isn't really the right way of putting it. Then what would be the right way of putting it, Mr. Wright? Explain yourself! Nick, do you really have a handle on all of this? I'm fine, Maya. I'm finally putting all the pieces together. There's really only one picture I can paint anyways. Alright. So you want to know what really happened that night? Let's step back in time. Please. Let's do it. Acro used the rope to lower the wooden box onto the scene. Then he attached that rope to the bust and dangled the bust out of his bedroom window directly above the wooden box. At the same time, the ringmaster told Max to wait in his room and went to the scene. Of course, at the time, the ringmaster was wearing Max's costume. Perhaps he didn't want anyone to recognize him that night. But just as he feared, he was spotted at the entrance of the lodging house by none other than the ventriloquist and his puppet, Ben and Trillo. When the ringmaster arrived at the scene, he bent over to lift the wooden box. And that's when Acro took his chance and released the rope. Now this is when the magic happens. At the very instant that the bus hit the victim, no, that's dumb. That's the dumbest shit that I've seen. No. Stop it! That is ridiculous! You just wait a second there, Mr. Wright. As much as you try, as much as you scheme, this just isn't true. It can't be! It's still a little early to be getting so upset, Miss Von Karma. This circus isn't over yet. If that's the truth, that is the dumbest truth. What? It flew off onto him and then landed on him. Boy, I swear. The impact of the bust on the victim threw the cloak up, which snagged onto the bust. The impact also caused the sound a certain witness heard, prompting him to take a look. That witness was, of course, Lawrence Mo Curls, the clown. When Mo looked out his window, the cloak had already snagged onto the bust. Now, having completed the crime, Acro naturally went about pulling up the murder weapon. Of course, he had no idea that Mo saw the bust being raised with the cloak dangling on it. Primarily because, in his wheelchair, he couldn't see out of his window. So he just kept pulling the bust up. Yeah. And that is how the magical murderer disappearing into the sky came to be. I know, it's ridiculous. So you see, the only person who could have pulled this off is the person who was able to drop the murder weapon from above the crime scene! Acro! It could only have been you! Acro's been playing mind games with all of us. He sure has. But he has come to the end of his rope now. So, what now? You've graced us with a rather long-winded tale. But do you have any evidence to prove that your fairy tale is true? Evidence? In this court, only two things matter. The power of evidence and the power of my whip. Don't forget the power of my gavel as well. Mr. Wright, the prosecution brings up a good point. Can we see some evidence? Nick, they say they want evidence. I just explained how there can only be one possible murder method. But there is still something unusual about Mo's eyewitness account. Unusual? A contradiction, actually. Okay, then use that and get out of this jam. That's enough talking amongst yourselves. Proceed, Mr. Wright. Present some evidence to the court that backs your claims. I want hard proof that you have unraveled the trick to this magic case. Okay, before we do that, oh my god, I actually can't even, oh my god, I can't even save. He wants hard proof. What the heck? Okay, you want hard proof, mother sucker? You want hard-ass proof, my guy. Like, Viagra hard, huh? Okay, so I actually went back to my previous video to remember what Mo said during one of the testimonies. And he said that he saw the silk hat on the ground. And that also means he saw the silk hat go up on the window. So he did see two hats. So let's wind it up and say, take that! The problem is Max's three symbols. You know, the silk hat, the cloak, and the white roses. Those symbols were a problem numerous times during yesterday's proceedings. Yesterday, there were 2 contradictions in most testimony. The silk hat was one, the white roses were the other. But the theory I just presented explains all these contradictions. You fool! Do you ever shut up? Max's silk hat was found at the scene of the crime. However, remember what Mo said yesterday. He testified that the criminal he saw fleeing the scene was wearing a silk hat. There's only one explanation for that. The silk hat that Mo saw was actually the bust. Makes sense. If you look at it that way, then he did see the silk hat. Well, sort of. Objection! Fine, you've got one, but what about the other contradiction? The other contradiction? Remember what that ventriloquist said in court? He said that he witnessed white roses on Max's chest that night. But the clown's testimony doesn't match. The clown said that there was no white roses. I'd like to see you try and explain that one away. Can you do it, Nick? Of course, I can explain all of it. Wait, before we do that, let's save because I have no freaking clue. Okay, hold on. Save it, save it, save it. There we go, save the content. Now we can mess up freely. What was that? Please recall the instant when the cloak snagged onto the bust. If the cloak snagged onto the bust, what happened to the white roses? What, they fell off? Oh, they went on the thing too? Yeah. Do you get it yet? If the cloak got snagged onto the front of the bust, it means that the white roses would end up on the back of the bust. Ah! Which explains why Mo didn't see them. The white roses were not visible because they were on the back of the bust. Oh, so I didn't need to present any evidence. Okay. This is quite the shocking state of affairs. Mr. Wright's theory still sounds a bit absurd to me, and me. However, let's just keep going down this road for a while and see where it leads. Let's do this, Nick. Then maybe Von Carmel will finally throw in the towel. What? Well, so much for that theory. Mr. Wright, do you mind? What is it? You took the time to research our circus, didn't you? Well, yes, I did. Is there something making you think that I didn't? If you did, then maybe you'll understand why I think you're off track. Why is that? Motive. This witness feels an incredible debt of gratitude towards the ringmaster. Anyone with any relation to the circus is well aware of this. Thus, there's absolutely no way someone like this would kill the ringmaster. True, I guess. Your Honor, I'd like you to hear Acro's story. Learn about his relationship with the ringmaster and his life up until now. What do we do? There's no doubt that Acro deeply respected the ringmaster. Acro's motive. It seems that this case isn't over yet. Very well. However, I feel this is a good place to take a break. I will listen to the rest of Mr. Dingling's testimony after recess. This court will now take a 10-minute recess. Okay. All right, to be continued, guys. We're going to hear Mr. Dingling's story in the next part of this case. If you guys want to see that as soon as possible, make sure you guys give this video one big fat like. And tell a friend today that Jay from the Kubz Scouts is that dude!